race is the story of the midterm elections. We saw Trump-backed extremist after extremist fail as voters chose normal, relatable candidates like Glueson-Campos-Perez. And on an even deeper level, these elections showed how the extreme wing of the MAGA movement, the Republican Party, have become just trapped in their own ideological chamber. I mean, Joe Kent's a perfect example. Look at this tweet. This is really amazing. This tweet is Joe Kent condemning probably the most popular pastime in America as some sort of, I don't know, like wussy liberal distraction. Quote, I don't know how people watch pro sports, major corporations spreading woke propaganda while convincing men the masculine thing to do is watch other men compete in a silly game. I mean, look, there's lots of legitimate criticism of professional sports and the sports leagues, some of which I have. But they're wildly popular in this country. This is one of the most out-of-touch things a candidate can say, particularly in a district that leans right. Again, it demonstrates exactly what has happened to Donald Trump's Republican Party. The MAGA win has become so obsessively wrapped up in their own little twisted echo chamber, their own neurotic obsessions about wokeness everywhere and trans youth. They have completely lost touch with what normal people think and want. This year, they nominated a whole bunch of people who just have no connection with the median voter. I mean, look at Kari Lake, who is probably the strongest candidate among all of them, who still lost her bid for governor of Arizona. In addition to being election denier, anti-vaxxer, she called for imprisoning her opponents and journalists. Or look at Blake Masters on the ballot in that state as well, the failed Arizona candidate for Senate. A libertarian who thought the Unabomber manifesto was interesting, who repeats far-right conspiracies and election lies. His campaign ads varied from strange to downright creepy, like this 2.5-minute video that reads more like a promotion for gun silencers.
Made in Germany, 007 gun. Why would you not want this? Let's load it up and see how it shoots. Silencers sometimes get a bad rap. People want to pretend that it makes it easy to commit crime or something like that. But actually, shooting with a silencer just makes it a whole lot more pleasant to shoot because you don't have to worry about giant ear protection.
Yes, the silencers get a bad rap constituency. If someone at a party showed you that video, is like, hey, you want to see something cool? You would get the heck out of there. Who is the median Arizona voter that watches that and it's like, that's what I want from my senator? Not a lot of them, it turns out. All over the country, we saw this kind of out-of-touch extremism rejected over and over. In New Hampshire, it was Republican Senate nominee Don Bolduc, who repeatedly falsely claimed that children are identifying as cats and using litter boxes in schools, a widely circulated myth in right-wing circles. He also called an aspect of in vitro fertilization, a fertility treatment, quote, disgusting, indicated he was open to banning the procedure. Wonder how that went over with voters. In Ohio, there was Jeremy Majewski, the MAGA-rapping, QAnon-believing Republican candidate for Congress, who also lied about his military service, and North Carolina congressional candidate Bo Hines, who thinks a community panel should decide if victims of rape or incest should be allowed to get an abortion. It is not an accident that all these people are the kinds of candidates who flourished in MAGA Republican primaries. The litmus test in Donald Trump's party is, do you believe the 2020 election was stolen by some fantastic conspiracy involving Italian satellites and the ghost of Hugo Chavez? If you believe something that obviously preposterously false, you're gonna be a weirdo.